17 million brackets. Guys, can you please get involved? We need to get over 18. Hello, Will, Max?
Yeah, I'm on it. I'm on it.
Focus.
Yeah, fill out a million
brackets. Fill out a million real quick on ESPN.com.
Sports Center right now, the NFL's 2018 league year and free agency signing period is underway, and plenty of quarterbacks starting new chapters with new teams. Kirk Cousins being one of them. He is set to sign a 3-year, $84 million fully guaranteed deal with the Vikings. Cousins is expected to finalize his contract this morning and be introduced as a Vikings starter this afternoon. The Cardinals officially released Tyrann Mathieu just hours before his $13.75 million of his 2018 and 19 salaries would be guaranteed. Mathieu was asked by the team to take a pay cut but declined. Former Patriots cornerback Malcolm Butler has agreed to a deal with the Titans. He told the Boston Herald he was never given a reason why he didn't play in Super Bowl 52, but Butler also reiterated he has no hard feelings toward his former team. Still a lot of names out there for NFL teams to look to sign. Perhaps the most shocking on that list is Jordy Nelson, who was released by the Packers. And Ndamukong Suh will be looking for a new team after 3 seasons in Miami. Now back to Fertig.
NFL free agency is fully underway now, and one team that hasn't added new names is the Dallas Cowboys. Now, according to Jean-Jacques Taylor of ESPN Dallas, 103.3 FM, I'm sure you're very familiar, they were very close to signing wide receiver Sammy Watkins, but couldn't get a deal done. Will Kane in the house. Can I let Will start on this one, you guys? Are we cool with that?
Sure.
Yeah, he's allowed.
Okay.
He's allowed.
Ooh, exception to the rules. I like living that life.
Thank you for permission.
Yeah.
Have the Cowboys been too quiet in free agency?
No, I love it. And in fact, I mean, I love Jean-Jacques Taylor. I'm so glad that didn't happen. I cannot believe the Dallas Cowboys were in on Sammy Watkins. I mean, they were going to sign Sammy Watkins. Let's be clear about what this was. This was to replace Dez Bryant. There was no scenario where both of these guys were going to be on the team at the same time. And if you think Sammy Watkins is the equivalent of Dez Bryant, you are insane. That is ridiculous. Sammy Watkins' best years are the equivalent of Dez Bryant's worst years. The years we talk about, like this last one, we go, Dez, has he lost it? Has he lost it? Look at the stats. They are equivalent to what Sammy's done throughout his career when he's been healthy and on the field. So I don't want to hear about Sammy Watkins. I'm happy the Cowboys were out on that. And as far as, you know, should they be more splashy? This is actually who the Cowboys are. I mean, we may have some memory of them from the 1990s when they went after Deion Sanders and Charles Haley. But over the last 5 years, there's only 2 teams that have spent less in free agency than the Dallas Cowboys. And that's the Green Bay Packers and the Pittsburgh Steelers. There is a philosophy in Dallas that at least they say that they're not going to pay good players like they're great. I love that philosophy. I wish they'd have thought about it when they were thinking about Sammy Watkins. But stick with that philosophy. It works.
Well, I mean, it doesn't work. That's the thing. The Cowboys aren't a great team.
13-3, 9-7, playoffs, found a franchise quarterback in the 4th round. You hold them to the Super Bowl standard. We don't need to play that game.
No, not just playoff win standard. They don't win in the playoffs.
They were 8-8 for like a decade.
And by the way,
I just gave you 5 years of what their philosophy has been, and now you're going 20 on me.
In the last 5 years, how many playoff games?
I'm much younger than all of you.
So it's not like they're an elite team. You want to say they're a generic team in terms of results? I agree. If you look at playoff results, they're like what a generic NFL team does. But I'm looking at free agent signings so far. Arizona 4, Falcons 3, Ravens 3, Buffalo 6, Carolina 3, etc. Cleveland 10, Broncos 3, Dallas 0. The only other team to not sign anyone is the Pittsburgh Steelers. And you mentioned that as coherent philosophy.
Hold on. So what you're telling me is what we should do is not follow the model of the Steelers, but follow the model of the Browns, who signed 10 players.
Well,
got it? Okay.
Actually, but the Browns had a lot of capital in order to make those moves. The Steelers are not the best team in football. Are the Steelers the best team in football? The Philadelphia Eagles are actually last year the best team in football, 5 free agent signings. So I'm not suggesting that they need to go crazy here, but they haven't signed anyone, which suggests they think their team is ready to go, and all they need to do is be wise in the draft. And here comes the Super Bowl. Do you feel the Dallas Cowboys are that close, or should they shore up the roster with a wise free agent signing or 3?
I'll go Stephen A. Go ahead before I answer those questions.
Well, I just love the emotion that Will is exhibiting, you know, especially when it came to interrupting Max Kellerman. He pulled the Max there. Didn't even want to let Max finish his point because he didn't want to get caught out there. Here's the reality of the situation. The Dallas Cowboys were limited in terms of their cap space. I think other than the Philadelphia Eagles, I don't think anybody's had less cap room than the Dallas Cowboys. Losing Hitchens, I think, is going to be a big loss. You're going to need to shore up your linebacker spot. You can't rely on Sean Lee because he's an injury history waiting to happen. You look at the Dallas Cowboys being quiet. One would surmise that that's a good thing, because we know how they prioritize stealing headlines. As a matter of fact, one could argue they prioritize that more than winning. But the reality is, by doing very little, Will Kane, what they're essentially saying to you is that last season was a fluke. That Dez Bryant, that Cole Beasley, and the rest of the crew, they can more than get it done. It was just a fluke last year because Ezekiel Elliott had the 6-game suspension, blah, blah, blah. I love that attitude. I'm glad the Dallas Cowboys have taken that attitude, because I see another losing season on the horizon. Doesn't bother me at all to witness what I'm witnessing from them. It's sort of just falls in line with what I think about them. When they need to make moves, they don't. When they don't need to make moves, they do. When they need to avoid the headlines, they're in them. When they could use some headlines, they don't get them. Everything is backwards with this franchise, and this is just the latest example as far as I'm concerned, and I love it.
This is nonsense. What are you guys? You guys to wake up on Friday morning after Thanksgiving and line up outside of Walmart? What do you?
Well, we have history on our side. You don't.
I'm sorry, and not Walmart, Stephen A. You're outside the Louis Vuitton store because you like to buy things full price.
They don't do sales.
Oh, that's right. Let me get my analogy straight, Molly. They don't do sales. They want to find where you can go to pay the highest price when everybody is in line to get it. I want to
this from Will Kane, Max. This from Will Kane, Max, who goes to a salon instead of a barbershop. You're talking? Really?
Will does look very handsome. I like to do a haircut.
I don't know what you know about my personal grooming. You don't know where I go.
I'm just saying, go to salon, not a barbershop, please. And Molly, I don't comment on the looks of men like that. But go ahead.
But the Cowboys.
But you did.
Are the Cowboys so ready, Will? Are the Cowboys so ready that all they need is the draft and they're good? They don't need to sign anyone?
This is the point of my analogy. You guys line up to spend full boat the first 2 days of free agency, and you celebrate the teams like the Browns who signed 10 guys.
They're pathetic.
I'm not celebrating the Browns.
We're 2 days into this thing, okay? The Dallas Cowboys aren't done. There are reports that they're interested in Ndamukong Suh. I hope they don't go pay full boat for Ndamukong Suh. I hope they shop in the discount aisle. By the way, there's also reports out there, according to Mike Fisher, a Cowboys beat writer for 20 years, that they're interested in Earl Thomas. And this is a real thing, a trade between the Seattle Seahawks and the Dallas Cowboys. The Seahawks reportedly want a first-round pick. No thank you on the first-round pick. Yes, thank you on Earl Thomas. The point is shop, but shop smart. You guys are out here getting mad at them because they're not running out there signing Dion on the first day.
I understand now. It's like you ever trade baseball cards as a kid, and you run into the kid who I'll trade you this common, what they call them, commons, for those 4 rookie cards. Like, you're only going to do a deal, Earl Thomas, for a 6th-round pick. Otherwise, no thank you. That guy, yeah, we need a corner, but I'm not going to pay full boat on that.
Would you give a first-round pick for Earl Thomas right now?
No. You're going.
What are we doing here?
But you have to negotiate, of course. You're going to have to bring some to get some here, Will. Like, the Cowboys aren't going to be able to they are not a bargain shopping purchase or 2 away from a Super Bowl. They need to address their defense. Are they going to do it all through the draft? They're going to have to get creative with trades. They're probably going to have to sign some guys, and they don't have a lot of money to do it.
We're 2 days in this. And by the way, you guys set it up as a catch-22. Lean back. Do your thing, because you got it as a catch-22. If they go out and spend, you get to say, here they are, headline seeking. If they don't spend, you say they're not doing enough. And you point to Anthony Hitchens, Stephen A. Anthony Hitchens is a nice player. I've rooted Anthony Hitchens for years. But $9 million a year, $30 million guaranteed, price matters. Maybe not when you're in the Stephen A. Smith category of commentary and analysis and reporting. But for most people out there, price matters.
Well, what I would say to you is this. When we look at the Dallas Cowboys, we have a right to look at their history and say, these are their habits, these are their Achilles heel. You want to sit up here and treat every year like it's new. And you want to ignore bad habits that have served this, that have not served this franchise well. And that's all we're talking about here. We're not talking about the typical team. We're talking about the Cowboys, who are an accident waiting to happen, who find a way to get in their own way. And we dissect why that is. And some of the evidence that you point to, that Max points to, or anybody else. We have points. You just refuse to accept the obvious because you're emotionally tied to this franchise.
I have had more substance in the last 10 minutes than you have had on your Dallas Cowboys commentary in the past 5 years. In the last 10 minutes, I taught you more about the Dallas Cowboys than you have managed to ascertain.
You taught me.
Yeah.
You've taught me.
Oh, yeah.
Really?
Get your notepad out.
So if you know so much about the Dallas Cowboys, how are they going to get back to the Super Bowl?
I'm not getting the raps. Let me just ask you a question.
You're so emotional.
I'm so emotional. I'm going with the facts. If the Cowboys had signed Sammy Watkins, would you guys be celebrating them today?
No.
No.
Oh, my gosh.
I don't know what
So
Sammy
how do they
Watkins
win with
has
you guys?
left.
They don't.
That's the whole point, Will. They never win. They never win. They
Don't
never
you have a
win
3-hour
with me.
show to do?
Yeah.
All right.
Okay.
All right.
I got
Go ahead and do it. Go ahead and sing about the Cowboys. Good luck.
We'll see you on the Will Kane Show. I like the haircut. Talk to you soon. Coming up next, was
Salon.
it no-brainer to get Alex Smith like Jay Gruden says it was for the Redskins? The guys will debate it. Plus, later, don't miss Stephen A's final take on Kevin Durant's time to shine. Don't touch that dial.
So I've got an interview and a date.